Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down chapter 147, Fakes.
In this chapter, it tests the limits of what a person is willing to forgive. It explores the difference between a hollow facsimile of power and the genuine article.
It really does, because we have seen villains in this series. We've seen brutes and schemers and absolute tyrants. But Wapol just did something unforgivable. He didn't just attack a person, he shot at a man's soul. He shot a flag.
A symbol of a life's work, a promise to a nation, left fluttering in the wind. And then, as if that weren't enough, he shot a child who was honoring that very promise. It's a sequence of actions so devoid of empathy, it's almost clinical in its cruelty.
It is one of the most brutal things we've seen, and it's not even about the physical violence. It's about the violation of a sacred trust. If you believe a flag is worth fighting for, if you believe in the promises we make to each other, you should probably be subscribed to this show, because that is what we are all about. Now, let's get into it, because a lot happens before we even get to the castle.
We start back in Bighorn, where Dalton is bleeding out in the snow. Walpole's men are closing in, a pack of hyenas moving in on a wounded lion.
It looks like it's over for him. He gave it his all. He stood up when no one else would, but he's just one man against a returning army. You can feel the despair in those panels. But then, something incredible happens. Something super.
The Ishi 20, the 20 elite doctors that Wapol selfishly hoarded for himself, they step forward, not with weapons, but with their identities, with their purpose.
And they don't just step forward to heal him, which would have been brave enough. They form a wall, a human shield, a wall of doctors with scalpels and medical tools, standing between Dalton and Wapol's soldiers. They've had enough. This is their line in the snow.
It's such a powerful image. They are healers, not warriors. Their tools are for mending, not for breaking. Yet they're using them to defend. They're repurposing their very nature to protect the future of their country.
And that's the key, isn't it? It seems they only followed Wapol out of fear that he held their skills hostage. But fear is a brittle thing. The second Dalton gave them a flicker of something else, of hope, of righteous defiance, they grabbed onto it with both hands.
They choose to follow Dalton. They choose to save him. It's a direct refutation of Wapol's entire philosophy. Wapol believes loyalty is a product of coercion. You own people, you control them, you make them fear you. But these doctors prove him wrong. True loyalty is given, not taken.
This is it. This is what it means to be a true leader. Wapol rules with fear, so the second he looks weak, the second he's not physically present to enforce his will, his people turn on him. His power is a fake, a cheap imitation. Dalton inspires loyalty. He earns it through his sacrifice, through his unwavering belief in Drum, and now these doctors are ready to fight for him with the only weapons they have.
It's a quiet coup, a rebellion not of swords, but of conviction. They aren't trying to seize power for themselves. They're trying to preserve the life of the one man who they believe can lead them properly. They're choosing their own future for Drum, and that future is Dalton.
You gotta think about what this means for the citizens, too. They're watching this. They just saw Dalton get cut down, and now they're seeing the most respected people in the kingdom, the doctors, risk their lives for him. Courage is contagious, Robin. This is the spark that lights the fire of a real revolution.
Absolutely. And while this quiet rebellion is happening in Bighorn, we cut back to the base of the Drum Rockies, where Usopp is trying to keep Vivi's spirits up. She's worried sick about Luffy and Sanji, who are carrying a sick Nami up a sheer frozen mountain.
Rightfully so. That is an insane task. It's a suicide mission. But Usopp, ever the storyteller, ever the pillar of, verbal support, he tells her they'll be fine. He paints this picture of them as unstoppable forces of nature.
It's a classic Usopp performance. He has this complete, unshakable faith in his captain's ability to defy reality. It's almost a kind of worship.
He's not wrong, though. He says even if they get buried in an avalanche, they'll just dig their way out and keep going. And the crazy thing is, hearing him say it, you believe it, because that's Luffy. That's the kind of trust he has in his captain and his crewmate. It's a testament to everything they've been through together up to this point. He saw Luffy beat Kuro, Krieg, and Arlong. To Usopp, a mountain is just another obstacle.
But that faith is for other people. The moment the challenge is presented to him, the entire facade crumbles. Vivi asks him to help carry Dalton up the mountain, and suddenly Usopp is terrified.
The lie immediately falls apart. It's so perfect. He was just saying how it was no big deal, and now he's got every excuse in the book. I have a disease, a terrible disease, where if I climb a mountain, I'll die. It's such a perfect Usopp moment. His talk is big, but his fear is real and immediate. He's not a monster of endurance like Luffy or Zoro. He's just a normal guy.
It makes his bravery later so much more potent. It's not bravery if you're not afraid. Usopp is constantly, deeply afraid, which means that when he does act, it's one of the most courageous things we can see. And that moment is coming, because down in the snow, Dalton gets back to his feet. Barely.
The man is a warrior to the bone. He's full of holes. He's bleeding out. He's been betrayed. He's lost everything. But his first thought is to get back in the fight and protect his country. He's not thinking about his own survival. He's thinking about his duty.
And seeing that, something in Usopp just clicks. The gears in his head stop spinning excuses and lock into place.
It absolutely does. All his fear, all his made-up diseases, they just evaporate. He sees Dalton's spirit, this raw, absolute refusal to give up, and it invigorates him. It's like he's looking at a character from one of his own tall tales, but this one is real, bleeding in front of him. He tells Dalton to get on his back. He's going to carry him up the mountain himself.
He goes from trembling with fear to carrying a wounded soldier into battle. It's one of the most significant moments of growth for him we've seen yet.
Because that's what a true warrior does. And Usopp, more than anything, wants to be a brave warrior of the sea. Seeing the real thing in Dalton lit a fire under him. He saw a man who was way more beat up than him, way more justified in giving up, and that man was still trying to fight. How could Usopp do any less?
Okay, but think about what this means for Usopp's journey. It's the central theme of his character. He lies about being a great hero, but moments of true heroism are starting to bubble up through the fear. He's becoming the man he pretends to be, one terrifying step at a time.
Exactly. He's closing the gap between the lie and the reality. It's not about not being afraid. He'll always be afraid. It's about seeing something more important than your fear. For Usopp, in that moment, seeing Dalton's warrior spirit and honoring it was more important than his own terror of the cold or the climb. Super.
He's forging his own legend, not with his words, but with his actions. He's carrying the will of another man on his back, quite literally. It's a beautiful parallel to Luffy carrying Nami and Sanji. The Straw Hats carry each other.
Meanwhile, at the castle, the source of all this suffering is ready to show off.
Ugh, this guy, Wapol.
He gets to the castle and starts gloating about how he's going to take it back. And then he just opens his mouth, impossibly wide, wider than a snake, wider than a house.
And a cannon emerges. He doesn't just pull a cannon out of his mouth, he becomes the weapon. He's transformed himself into a building, a house with a cannon for a mouth.
It's his Baku Baku no Mi, the Munch Munch fruit. We knew he could eat anything. We saw him eat the castle wall. But this is a whole new level. This isn't just consumption, it's application. He says he can transform into anything he's ever eaten.
He specifically says he ate cannons and explosives from the castle armory. He's a living weapon factory, a walking, talking engine of destruction fueled by his own gluttony.
The application of this devil fruit is just horrifying. Oda took a goofy concept, a guy who eats a lot, and made it genuinely menacing. This isn't like Luffy's fruit, which is inherently a bit silly but used for heroic ends. This is a power that is, by its very nature, about consumption and destruction. He's not just eating to destroy things, he's eating to absorb their properties and become a one-man army.
It's assimilation. He consumes and incorporates. There's no partnership, no synergy. He just makes things a part of himself, erasing their original identity, which leads directly to the next thing he does, which is somehow even worse.
Oh, it is so much worse. It's one of the most disturbing things a villain has done to his own crew in the series. His two top goons, Chess and Kuromorimo, are there, and he just eats them.
Without a moment's hesitation. There's no malice, no anger. It's just a matter-of-fact action, like picking up two tools from a workbench.
Shoves them right into his mouth. They're screaming and everything. And then he spits out this combined person, this fused, lanky, four-legged fighter he calls Chazamorimo. It's body horror, straight up.
He calls it the Baku Baku Factory. A factory implies production, but this is a twisted mockery of it. It's not creating something new, it's mashing two existing things together into a malformed tool.
Bro, that is the most messed up thing. He just ate his own men. Think about every other crew we've seen. Buggy's crew is terrified of him, but he wouldn't eat them. Arlong's crew were his family, his brothers. Even Don Krieg, a complete monster, saw his men as an army to command, not as ingredients. Wapol doesn't see his subordinates as people. He sees them as spare parts.
It's the ultimate expression of his tyranny and his solipsism. The world only exists in relation to him. His followers are not individuals with their own lives. They're a resource pool for him to draw from. It's not a crew. It's not a kingdom. It's a pantry.
And the contrast with Luffy is just blindingly obvious, isn't it? Oda is screaming it at us. Luffy would die for any one of his crew. He just climbed a frozen cliff with two of them on his back to save a third. Wapol just used his for a power-up. It's the perfect way to show us exactly what kind of person he is. He has no bonds, no loyalty, nothing but his own insatiable appetite.
It's pure transactional selfishness. And with his new fused minion and his cannon house body, he turns his attention to the castle spire, the highest point in the kingdom.
And he sees it, the flag, Dr. Hiriluk's flag, a skull and crossbones but with falling cherry blossoms instead of bones, a symbol of death and piracy reimagined as a symbol of healing and rebirth.
Wapol calls it the symbol of his adversaries. He knows exactly what it represents. It's not just some random pirate flag. It's the symbol of the belief that this country can be saved, the belief that there's a cure for a nation's sick heart. It's the flag of the one man he couldn't break.
It's a symbol of hope, a promise of a spring that will one day come to this winter island. And Wapol, a man who thrives on despair and fear, can't stand the sight of it. Hope is anathema to him.
So he aims his cannon mouth and he fires.
A cannonball tears right through the center of the flag. The sound echoes across the mountaintop, a definitive, violent statement.
You don't do that. You just don't. We've been learning this since the very beginning of the series. Shanks gave his arm to save Luffy, but he told the mountain bandit, I can laugh off being spit on, but I'll never forgive anyone who hurts my friends. And in this world, a person's flag is their friend. It's their conviction, their dream, their very soul hoisted up for the world to see. To attack a flag like that, it's like trying to kill a person's spirit. It's the ultimate act of disrespect.
And for one person watching, that's exactly what it was. Chopper, who has been hiding, sees it happen.
And he just snaps. Pure, absolute rage. We see him transform, his body bulking up. He goes charging forward, ready to tear Wapol apart. You can feel the fury coming off the page in waves. That wasn't just a flag. That was his father's flag. The last tangible thing he has left of him. The proof that Hiriluk existed and that his dream mattered.
And Chopper honors that. Even in this moment of pure, white-hot, justified rage, he pulls back. He stops his transformation. He respects his father's dying wish more than he wants revenge. He is such a good kid. The strength it takes to do that, to hold back that kind of anger out of love, it's immense.
It truly is. He stands there, trembling, holding himself back. He chooses peace in the face of desecration, and Wapol just looks at him, this strange, emotional creature.
And what does Wapol see? Does he see strength? Does he see honor? No, he sees weakness. He calls him naive, and he shoots him.
A cannonball, point blank, into a child who had just chosen not to fight.
That's it. That is the line. Wapol is not just a greedy slob. He is a monster. He is a predator who specifically targets kindness. He sees a moment of mercy, a moment of someone honoring a beautiful, selfless belief, and his only instinct is to punish it, to prove that it's a liability.
It's a complete and total rejection of Hiriluk's entire philosophy. He's not just attacking Chopper, he's trying to kill the idea that Hiriluk died for. The idea that people can be good, that compassion has value. Wapol's world has no room for such things.
He is trying to prove that the world is as ugly and selfish as he is, that might makes right and that ideals are for fools. But as he's doing this, as Chopper is hit and sent flying across the snow, Oda does something brilliant. The panel doesn't linger on Chopper's pain. It cuts away.
Up to the very top of the castle spire, following the trajectory of the broken flagpole.
Where a hand grabs the ledge. A rubber hand. Luffy. He made it.
He's finally there after that impossible climb. He's climbed the entire mountain with Nami and Sanji on his back, barefoot with bleeding fingers. He's at the summit.
And he's holding the straw hat flag. Our flag. He has no idea what just happened down below. He doesn't know Chopper was shot. He doesn't know Wapol is there. He has no context for the scene he's just arrived at. All he knows is that his crew's flag was knocked down during the climb, and he is here to put it back.
The timing is devastatingly perfect. As one flag, a symbol of a nation's hope, is desecrated, Luffy arrives to raise another. One dream is shot down, and another arrives to take its place.
He's there to restore the symbol, to fix what was broken. That's our captain. The fight comes second. The enemy comes second. First, you honor the dream. You put the flag back where it belongs. That's the rule. And Wapol just broke it in the worst way possible, right in front of the one person in the world you should never, ever do that to. Super. That is the moment.
It really is. The clash of ideologies is about to happen in physical form. Wapol, the king who consumes, versus Luffy, the man who liberates. The fake versus the genuine. It's all laid out for us.
Before we get to predictions, this chapter just gets me thinking about all the little side stories happening in the One Piece world. It feels like there's always more going on than we ever get to see.
Definitely. I remember hearing about some of the light novels that expanded on earlier arcs like Logetown.
Exactly. I think I read somewhere that one was about a mysterious gunman there. It's just so classic for this series, isn't it? On one hand, you have these incredibly deep themes about conviction and legacy, and on the other, there's room for these smaller, chivalrous side adventures and, a Nami bath scene.
It contains multitudes. But a mysterious gunman in Logetown is interesting. We know who was there. Smoker, Tashigi, Dragon, Alvida, Buggy, and of course, the Straw Hats. I wonder if a story like that would focus on someone we only saw in the background or offer a new perspective. Maybe it's someone like Daddy the Father from one of the early cover stories. He was a gunman.
I'd love to read something like that. It just goes to show how much story there is to tell, that you could have entire novels for arcs we've already passed. The world is just that big. It feels like a place where 100 different stories can be happening at the same time, and they all matter.
And it's always expanding. It makes you wonder what other side stories are waiting to be told. The history of the Ishii 18, perhaps? The life of Dalton before he joined the Royal Guard? The possibilities are endless.
Speaking of expanding on ideas, the meaning of a flag is so central to this chapter and the series as a whole. It's not just a piece of cloth, it's a promise, it's a declaration. Let us know in the comments what you think is the most important flag we've seen in One Piece so far. Is it the Straw Hat flag? Hiriluk's? Whitebeard's? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
All right, predictions for chapter 148. What do you have?
Okay, prediction 1. Luffy is going to see the shredded flag, and he is going to see a look on his face we have not seen in a long, long time. This isn't Arlong laughing at Nami, which was personal. This is different. This is an attack on a belief, on something sacred. Luffy is going to utterly dismantle Wapol, not just beat him. He's going to make an example out of him. He's going to show him what a real king, a pirate king, does when someone tramples on a dream.
So a truly serious Luffy fight. No goofiness, no playing around, just a cold, righteous fury.
The most serious we've seen yet. My second prediction, Sanji gets Chess Marimo. Luffy is taking Wapol, Zoro isn't here. This weird, fused, multi-limbed fighter is a perfect opponent for Sanji to just kick apart. It's a great warm-up for him after being out of commission for a bit. Plus, it's a grotesque fusion of two beings, and Sanji is all about the purity of his craft, be it cooking or fighting. He'd find this thing to be an absolute affront and would take great pleasure in deconstructing it with his kicks.
That makes a lot of sense. They need to deal with the subordinates before Luffy gets to the main course. Okay, my turn.
Let's hear it.
Prediction 1. Dr. Kureha arrives. Usopp is carrying the injured Dalton up the mountain. Nami is desperately sick. They are all heading straight for the only person on the island who can truly save them. Her arrival will coincide with the climax of the fight. She is the keeper of Hiriluk's will. She has to be here for this. She'll walk into the middle of the chaos, completely unfazed, and probably demand payment from everyone.
Ooh, I like that. The Witch of Drum Mountain makes her grand entrance right when everything is going crazy. It feels right. She's been this looming presence over the whole arc. It's time for her to take center stage.
Exactly. And my second prediction, we're going to get a flashback. Not a long one, but a short, sharp one. As Luffy is fighting, or perhaps as Chopper is watching him fight, we'll see a memory of Hiriluk explaining to Chopper what his flag means. He told him it was a symbol of conviction, a symbol that makes the impossible possible. We're about to find out exactly what he meant by that, what impossible dream he was chasing with his cherry blossoms. It's going to fuel the final moments of this confrontation.
The secret of the cherry blossom skull. I can see it. It's the final piece of the puzzle for this whole conflict. Luffy is fighting for a flag he doesn't understand yet, but he knows it's important because it's important to Chopper. That flashback will give us and Luffy the full context for why this fight is so super important.
It has to be. The flag is the heart of the whole chapter. Oda wouldn't introduce such a powerful symbol without giving us its full history.
All right, those are our predictions. Wapol has made the biggest mistake of his life. He picked a fight with the wrong people on the wrong day.
He has declared war on a dream, and the protector of dreams just arrived on his rooftop. It's not going to end well for him.
Not a chance. Join us next time as we break down Chapter 148. This has been Inherited Dawn.
We'll see you then.